Yo, it's your boy Zerk. So Sam Sulek went on Chris Williamson's podcast and had a calm, thoughtful conversation about evidence-based fitness culture. Talked about how it can be elitist, how people use science to sell certainty like snake oil, how the whole "this is right, you're wrong" mentality is toxic. Never mentioned Mike Israetel by name, not once. And Mike made a 25-minute reaction video defending himself. My brother in Christ, nobody called you out. You just showed up like a bald Beetlejuice. Mr. Mike, in his attempt to defend the evidence-based fitness community, accidentally confirmed every single thing Sam said. Let me break it down for you.
I think there's people who are gimmicky about it and make it a thing because they know it's like, because an older person or an older guy who works out is going to stick to the basics that he know works for him, which is, sweet. But, it's going to be harder for him to accept new ideas. So for a younger guy, it's kind of this like clout mentality of like, oh, I'm on the new wave train. But some of it's a little silly. I don't think all of it is. So I would never, the point isn't exactly what they're doing, but a lot of the idea behind it, and it's kind of its own subculture, it's very like it's a weird elitism because it's not like it's Chris Bumstead saying like this is and like their whole thing is this is right, you are wrong.
First, let's establish what Sam actually said because this is important. Sam's whole point was this. Evidence-based fitness has become a weird, elitist subculture where people use science not to actually help others, but to feel superior. They sell certainty instead of knowledge. They act like there's one perfect way to train, and if you're not following their program with their methodology, you're doing it wrong. It's become, this is right, you are wrong, instead of, here's what might work for you. That was Sam's critique. Now let's watch Mike respond to this by doing exactly what Sam described.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that going on. There's hashtag science-based, and there's a really bad way to do science-based or evidence-based training. It is a weird elitism sometimes with evidence-based training, and that happens kind of for a few reasons. One, anytime you get a little club, people doing one thing and they think it's better than other folks, there's elitism automatically. One group of people is a small but notable subsection of hashtag science-based lifters that are doing exactly the thing Sam Sulek and Chris Williamson are talking about here, is trying to hide from difficulty by pretending that science says easier training is better. I'm well into this group. I'm kidding, sort of. And a lot of people in the bro community would like to pretend that that's not the case. But science, pussies, all these doing these fancy exercises.
Mike goes, there's definitely some elitism. There is a weird elitism sometimes with evidence-based training. It's a form of intellectual elitism. Bruh, Mike doesn't even realize he's agreeing with Sam. He frames it like he's correcting him. Well, actually, Sam, there is elitism, but let me explain why. Now, Sam's other big point was that evidence-based fitness people are condescending. They talk down to everyone who doesn't follow their exact methodology. So how does Mike respond? By being condescending for 25 minutes straight. I'm not exaggerating. Let me give you some highlights.
So in reality, true science-based lifting is damn near the hardest shit you could do. It's unreasonably difficult. Check out the papers if you're interested.
But it's argued as an improvement of the efficiency.
There's nothing wrong with improving efficiency. If you're running away from work on moral grounds and pretending to improve efficiency, that's bad. But in science, you get both improved efficiency and the mandate to work even harder. Real science, not hashtag PubMed bullshit.
Mike talks about pretend science versus real science, because apparently Mike gets to decide what counts as real science and what doesn't. That's not elitist at all. He talks about hashtag PubMed bullshit and hashtag science-based lifters with this tone like he's so above all these peasants who don't understand real evidence. He says some people have an intellectual inferiority complex because they don't like science-based training. Bruh, you're literally doing the thing Sam called out. You're talking down to people. You're acting superior. You're dividing the world into people who understand real science like me and idiots who don't.
But for me, I'm looking at that as though, like, do you hate working out? Like, if you hate working out, then you want a routine where it's like one set a day Like the ideal, well, I guess the ideal would be 0 sets.
Sam just, by accident, called them out. That's not science-based training. Scott, how many hashtag science-based lifters have you seen advocate 1 set to failure ever?
And the funniest part, Mike doesn't see it. He thinks he's just explaining the facts and setting the record straight. Nah, Mike, you're being condescending. That's what condescending people do. They don't realize they're being condescending because from their perspective, they're just correct and everyone else is wrong. Sam's biggest criticism was this. Their whole thing is, this is right, you are wrong. That's the core problem. Evidence-based fitness has become dogmatic. So how does Mike respond to this criticism? By spending 25 minutes explaining why his way is right and everyone else is wrong. Every single statement is framed as absolute truth. There's no, in my opinion, or based on current evidence, it seems like, or this might work for some people. Nah, it's all presented as fact, as settled, as correct. The whole video is one long, I'm right, here's why everyone else is wrong lecture, which is exactly what Sam criticized.
Like in their world, it's, I wish there was a pill.
Sam, you take steroids, bro. So do I, man. Not accusatory.
Sam's talking about how evidence-based fitness sells snake oil of an idea, meaning they sell certainty. They sell the idea that if you just follow their program exactly, they can guarantee results. Sam says, in their world, it's, I wish there was a pill. This is a metaphor. Sam's saying these dudes are selling the fitness equivalent of, take this pill and all your problems go away. They're selling easy answers and guaranteed results. It's a philosophical point about how people market fitness. Sam's talking about philosophy and marketing. Mike's talking about pharmaceutical drugs. Sam's talking about the culture of selling certainty. Mike's response is, yeah, but we're both on drugs. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the big picture here? Sam went on a podcast, talked about evidence-based fitness culture, never mentioned Mike Israetel by name, not once. And Mike made a 25-minute reaction video defending himself. Why? If the criticisms weren't about you specifically, why respond? Why make a whole video? There's only one answer. Because Mike knows Sam was talking about him. He recognized himself in the description. Mike heard Sam describe elitist, condescending people who sell certainty and act like they have all the answers, and Mike went, he's clearly talking about me, I need to respond. Which means, on some level, Mike knows. He knows he fits that description. He just thinks he's justified in being that way. And that's the difference. Sam thinks the elitism is a problem. Mike thinks the elitism is earned. Let's talk about what's actually happening here, because this isn't really about training philosophy or science or evidence. This is about threat. Sam Sulek represents an existential threat to Mike's entire business model. Think about it. Mike's whole brand is built on being the smart guy, the guy with the PhD, the guy who knows the science. He sells programs, he sells apps, he sells the idea that you need his expertise to make optimal gains. Then Sam shows up, doesn't worship at the altar of evidence-based training, and Sam is successful. He's huge, he's popular. Sam is living proof that you don't need Mike's approach to get jacked. And if people realize that, if people figure out they don't need Mike's programs and apps and expertise, Mike doesn't make money. So when Sam went on a podcast and calmly explained why the evidence-based fitness approach has become a cult-like culture of elitism and certainty selling, Mike had to respond. Not because Sam was wrong, but because Sam was right. And that's dangerous. Sam's threatening the entire business model. The model that says, you need us, the smart guys with PhDs, to tell you how to train. That's what Mike is really mad about, not the criticism, the threat. Mike's so caught up in defending his brand, his ego, that he can't hear legitimate criticism anymore. Look, I'm not saying evidence-based training is bad. I'm not saying Mike doesn't know his stuff. I'm not even saying you shouldn't follow his programs if they work for you. What I am saying is that Sam made a really simple observation. The evidence-based fitness community has become elitist and condescending, and people use science to sell certainty instead of actual knowledge. And Mike Israetel responded by being elitist and condescending while selling certainty based on science. I'm Zerk, and I'll see you next time. Peace.